Welcome back to The Wandering Screen. I'm Matt Koss, and I'm diving into Fantastic Four First Steps with very minor spoilers, so let's get into it. The 37th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the second reboot of the Fantastic Four finally arrives, and it's a surprisingly strong entry in an increasingly episodic franchise. What makes Fantastic Four First Steps leap off the screen isn't just the superhero antics, it's the film's bold vision, crafted with a deep love of design and world building that sets it apart from most modern comic book fare. Set in Earth 828, director Matt Shakman, who directed WandaVision, draws heavy inspiration from Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey and the visionary industrial design work of Sid Mead. The result is a retro-futurist atmosphere that feels both nostalgic and fresh. While the film stumbles with pacing and leans on plot conveniences to jump from beat to beat, it's so visually engaging that you can almost forgive the hand-waving logic, especially when viewed in IMAX. More on that later. To rewind a little, Fantastic Four were Marvel's original superheroes. They were created in 1961 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and the Fantastic Four launched what would become the Marvel Universe. The idea was simple but groundbreaking. A family of explorers transformed by cosmic rays, dealing not just with alien threats but interpersonal conflicts and relatable struggles. That sense of humanity is present in First Steps, though filtered through a stylized mid-60s lens, and it's also how Fantastic Four First Steps opens, with a TV host covering all the exposition in a 5-minute sequence. The screenplay, written by Josh Friedman, Eric Pearson, Jeff Kaplan, and Ian Springer, focuses on Reed Richards, Pedro Pascal, and Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby, discovering they're expecting a child after years of trying. Ben Grimm, The Thing, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, and Johnny Storm /Human Torch, Joseph Quinn, are overjoyed until the Earth is invaded by a Silver Surfer, Julia Garner, with an ominous message. Their planet is next on Galactus's cosmic buffet. Given the Earth is around 70% ocean, I immediately hoped he would have advanced hydration techniques. As the only superpowered beings on this Earth, the Fantastic Four venture into space to confront Galactus, voiced by Ralph Ineson, a planet-devouring entity whose solution to sparing Earth involves a horrifying trait: Sue and Reed's unborn child in exchange for humanity's survival. That's where I'll stop with the plot, because one of the true pleasures of the film is its surprises. One of the most interesting choices here is how contained the film feels. There's no government briefings, no Avengers cameos, no sprawling cast of tertiary heroes. This is really the Fantastic Four's movie. And that tight focus works to the film's advantage and sometimes its detriment. Take Johnny, for instance. We get some fantastic character development as he tries to prove himself as more than just the impulsive younger sibling, someone who can hang intellectually with Reed and contribute meaningfully to their mission. Joseph Quinn brings a real charm to the role, echoing Chris Evans' take, but with a fresh vulnerability. And Ebon Moss-Bachrach is excellent as Ben, delivering a soulful, often funny performance, aided by expressive motion capture rather than prosthetics. Vanessa Kirby, however, doesn't get much to do in the first half of the film beyond being pregnant. I was surprised how quiet Sue was in the first half, as she seemed more like a vessel than a character. Thankfully, she makes up for it in the back half with a powerful performance as Sue steps into her role as protector, strategist, and emotional backbone. Her monologue to the people of New York about unity and resistance is one of the film's emotional high points. Pascal, too, grows into the role. Initially muted and cerebral, his Reed slowly unravels as the pressure mounts, and it's that breakdown that makes his performance so compelling. Not everything works. The baby is occasionally distracting. CGI babies are always a gamble, and I found it pretty glaring at some points. You can tell when it's a digital creation and when they've swapped in a real infant, and it's understandable from a production standpoint, but in a film filled with top-tier visuals, the baby's movements sometimes took me out of the moment. On the production side, though, this film is brilliant. Production designer Kazra Farahani delivers an aesthetic that's unforgettable. There's the Bactors building's three-way layout with research, thinking, and communications, and it's so cool and functional. And the vehicles, which are inspired by American concept cars of the 1960s, feel like museum pieces you'd actually want to drive. And the Times Square sequence as Galactus tears through the skyline is jaw-dropping because, let's be honest, who doesn't love a good city crumbling sequence? Godzilla, move over. But what really makes First Steps soar is its space-bound second act. The Fantastic Four's interstellar mission, paired with Michael Giacchino's synth-heavy, awe-inducing score, is easily one of the best sequences in any MCU film in recent memory. Jess Hall's cinematography plays with perspective and scale brilliantly, especially as their ship approaches the mysterious planet that isn't as it appears to be. Galactus himself is such a visual triumph, towering, terrifying, and weirdly beautiful. And beneath all the intergalactic chaos, the film captures a lovely message. The idea that family and community, not sacrifice and fear, are the way forward. Sue's speech reminds us that when faced with extinction, we don't need to single out someone to suffer. We need to stand together. It's lovely, if slightly idealized, message that hits the mark. That said, the film's pacing hiccups come into sharper focus toward the final stretch. There's a plot point about building towers around the world that gets underway far too easily. What would otherwise be a logistical and political nightmare, and yet somehow resolved in what feels like a long weekend. You get the sense that time is passing, but it's hard to tell how much. It's a nitpick, sure, but those conveniences do take some of the weight out of the stakes. Still, let's talk about the IMAX experience, because this movie makes a statement from its opening animated credits that it was made for the IMAX, and it shows. The film's scale, especially during the space sequences and the Galactus confrontation, is massive. This is a blockbuster filmmaker that understands the value of awe, of sound, of perspective. See it in IMAX. Clocking in at just under 2 hours, the cast works. The world is rich. The tone is playful, smart, and occasionally profound. Sure, it's not perfect. Few Marvel films are these days, but this one left me genuinely wanting more. And that, in a universe defined by overstuffed stories and endless setups, might be its greatest superpower. You've made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. What did you think of the new Fantastic Four quartet? I'd love to hear which character is your favorite, and for more movie reviews, like, subscribe, and hit that bell button for more in-depth reviews of the latest films. Happy wandering.